Hello there, YouTube. How the hell are you? My name is Vac, and we're here today to continue our discussion of the races of Crowfall. And today, we're going to be bringing a little mythology to life with the Minotaur. Now, this is a pretty popular race in the game, I've noticed, in the time that I've been playing it. And I think not without good reason. For one thing, they just look cool. We can all admit to that, correct? But they have a lot of statistical things that really recommend them. So let's have a look, shall we? Now, as far as starting attribute bonuses, they get 35 to Constitution and 30 to Dexterity. Now, that's going to lend them well to being survivable, and of course, Dexterity-based classes like Ranger and things like that, which they can play, and we'll get to that in a minute. That's a nice little starting bonus. But you'll notice on statistic caps, they have an average dexterity cap despite having that plus 30 dexterity. So that's just going to make it a little easier for them to hit that dex cap at 250. But they have a maxed out 350 constitution cap. So these guys can end up as tanky as any other race in the game. Although they may be a little behind others, the plus 35 constitution is not a bad starting bonus at all. And they have some pretty interesting granted powers to go along with it to give them a little survivability. But looking on down the list here, we can see they have a 300 strength cap, so that's a little above average. They have a little below average spirit. These are probably not going to be great healers any day of the week. And they have a very low intellect, one of the lowest in the game at 150. So you're not really going to be a great caster with a Minotaur, but you don't need to be. These guys are frontline fighters most of the time, and even the Rangers tend to mostly be melee Rangers. And we'll get into that later. So first off, we have Gigantism. Gigantism is much like the half giant. This means you have to eat more often, that they consume more food. But for any experienced player of this game, that's just simply not a problem. I mean, maybe when you're first starting out and you're kind of broke, you might have to hunt a little more often to keep yourself fed, but they provide you a good bit during the quest line, so it's probably not going to be an issue ever. It's not really a setback at all, and I wouldn't let it ward you off playing this race. So up next we have Thick Skin, which is a passive resist all, which is just, there she is, just 300 to all resist statistics. Just a little extra tankiness on top of that high constitution. Mwah, good stuff. Next up after that we have Unbreakable. Now this is really the star of these passive powers here. This grants immunity to all stun effects that come at you from the front, which if you're good at positioning, especially if you're playing a melee class, that's probably going to be most of the stun effects that you face are going to be coming at you from the front. So if you're good at positioning, this is going to make you nearly impossible to stun in RVR, and that is big. That's very big. And I imagine this one power alone, aside from looking cool, is the reason that many people play Minotaur in this game. So moving on from that, we have Waste Not, Want Not. Now this is their bonus to crafting, is a plus 15 to the skinning statistic. And if you're looking for a character to just skin animals, gather leather, and feed the rest of your team, well then that's a pretty good choice. They do well at it. But without an outstanding dexterity cap, they may get outdone later by better vessels from other races. I don't know. We'll have to see. But for starting out, if you're looking for a skinner, a dedicated skinner, if that's a thing you're in the market for, then Minotaur is probably worth a look. They have a couple of active powers. They have Bloodthirst, which is kind of a pseudo frenzy, and in fact, if you get frenzy from being a Myrmidon later, this will overwrite. It will overwrite Bloodthirst. But what this does is it recovers for half of all the damage you take for the next 8 seconds. You just completely ignore. But when that 8 seconds is up, that damage starts to tick back onto you. So you're still taking all that damage. It just puts it off for a little while. And so this is good if you're in a really close fight, particularly in RVR, and you just need to hang on for a few more seconds till you can get your opponent killed. And so that's the one situation it'll be useful, but man, when you need it, you'll be glad you have it. So that's the one, and then the other, of course, is Bull Rush, which is going to be it charges you forward 20 meters, and when the charge ends, you knock down opponents within 4 meters of you and do some damage to them, and it's pretty sweet. And I got to tell you, it has 2 usages, because Minotaurs have just a regular dodge roll, 10 meters, 2 pips, just like any other normal race. But when you throw in on top of that this Bull Rush, it's a 20 meter dodge essentially that they can use once every 30 seconds, and that's nothing to sneeze at. So let's go and take a look at what classes they can play to get our final analysis of this race. So here we are at the character creation screen, and we can see here that Minotaurs are capable of playing Champion, Myrmidon, and Ranger. And honestly, there's no bad choice here. Ranger probably is sucking hind tit, so to speak, in that their strength and constitution caps are well above average, but their dexterity is just right down the middle. But they do get a plus 30 to dexterity to start, so it's not going to be a terrible choice. Plus, it kind of segues into the skinning kind of nicely, although any of these three classes could do that. So essentially, you're looking at 3 good class picks. There's nothing bad about any of these choices. Myrmidon, of course, is a little more offensive. And the frenzy, of course, is going to overwrite your natural ability, but it's not necessarily a total waste in that regard. They still work well as Myrmidons. And then Champion, of course, is a great selection for this race because you'll still have the pseudo frenzy ability plus all of the abilities of a champion as well. And so these guys make great pit fighters and alpha warriors, etc. So, you really can't make a bad choice here. Make yourself a Minotaur, get out in the RVR zone, have a good time, and I hope you enjoy them. Because I know I've enjoyed the ones that I've played. So that'll pretty much wrap up our discussion of Minotaurs today. I hope you've enjoyed what you saw here. I hope you found it helpful. And if you did, it would be great if you could bless us with a like or a subscribe. It helps us grow, helps us get more eyeballs on the channel, and we sure appreciate that. If you'd like to join our community, we are on Discord. There's a link in the description below. If you'd like to join our guild, there's a link there as well. And if you'd like to support the channel, same thing. So until I see you guys again, be cool, keep gaming. I'm Vac, and I'm out of here.